Good evening, YouTubers. Welcome to episode 42 of ShrigleytubeTV. If you're new to this channel, welcome, and if you're returning, thanks for returning to see more of my waffling, or hear more of my waffling, should I say. I'm just doing the intro from the garage tonight in the back of my garden because there's nowhere peaceful around the house to make the start, and I'd forgotten to do it at work on Friday. So I'm just doing a quick intro in the garage here just to say hello and tell you a bit about this week's video. Basically, we start by doing Benoy's engine on dyno. That goes out, and he's raced it on Saturday, which was great. We've got a few pictures of him, and he had a good race, really good race. In fact, he was absolutely flying. The guy can drive. He's a new personal best time for him as well around Oulton Park, which was great to see. So more about that later in the video. And then we had an engine that had an advanced issue which came back to me, and we sorted it out basically. But that sort of Kybos's original plan, which was to do this black engine which had the liners out and having a rebuild. That's meant to be my rebuild for the week, but it never happened, so we'll get it next week. Anyway, I won't waffle too much. I'll let you I'll get on with the video, and I'll look forward to seeing you all next Sunday at 7 hopefully. Take care, bye bye. Okay, YouTubers, I'm just joined by Dom's father, Dom's dad.
Dad.
Afternoon, Dom's dad.
Good afternoon, YouTubers.
Brilliant. He's just come straight from the Imp Ecos weekend in his Husky, and we just retaught the head down. Now it's a lovely Husky, very clean, lovely colour scheme as well. And he's got a 998 fast road Imp Sport engine in it. So how many miles do you think you've done in total now, Dom's dad?
With this engine, about 1,000.
1,000. So he's agreed to call in, and I said, well, just give the head a sneak down. So we just took the cam box off, let the engine cool down, and I've just given the head studs a bit of a pull, just to chase any movement in the gasket. So that's all done now. And the reason initially why I wanted to make this video, Dom's dad, is because I was under the bonnet and I saw 20p here and 20p here, and I was like, is that like a good luck charm? I thought it was a good luck thing. What's it all about?
Well, they're exactly the right size for the nuts on the back to actually fit in there.
Brilliant.
And the reason there are two is in case you lose one.
Right.
Best use of 40p I found in a long while.
I love it, Dom's dad. Right, I'll have a quick look around the car if that's okay,
yeah,
and then when got the lovely Imp Sport dash, and I did recognise these seats straight away. These are actually Astra Mark 1 GTE seats, and they're in lovely condition as well. They'll probably quite valuable, them, Dom's dad. Yeah. Brilliant. Well, safe onward journey, and we'll look forward to seeing you at the Imp National weekend at St Helens.
Absolutely, and anybody else who's going to go in Dutch next month.
Oh, going Dutch, is that next month, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, YouTubers. A new week and a new job. So I didn't actually interview the chap when he brought this engine to me. We were just pushed for time, etc. So this is a 998 old school wetliner Imp engine, and I thought we'd make a little video before I start putting it together, because just about the way we go about rebuilding them nowadays. So it's come to me for a refresh, etc. And I said to the chap, look, before we get involved with the engine, the first thing I want to say is let's pull the liners out of it and re-glue them in with some fresh glue. And the reason I do that is I've been caught out, I've been snagged a few times now, where I've rebuilt the Imp engine, I've bored it, decked it, etc., blasted it, cleaned it, and then after about a month of it being fitted in the car, we get an emulsification issue, basically where the water creeps down past the liner where it seats there and finds its way past, because you can see this is in the water jacket and this is in that index, so it creeps past and finds its way into the sump, and obviously then the engine's got to come all the way apart again and be fixed. So like they say, like, leave no rocks unturned. So the first job we do now when we get an engine in is take the liners out, clean it all up, get all the old Loctite off, because you've got to think the Loctite's got a shelf life, you know, and it's some of these engines were done 30-40 years ago. So we take them apart, put fresh glue on them, and then clamp it all up and go from there. So that's what we're going to do with this one, so I'll keep you posted with progress. Hopefully we'll get a tune out of it this week. Okay chaps, I'm on the dyno with Mr. Benoy's 1200cc engine. It's got his new liners in it now. This is the one that I've just put the liners in because one of them cracked at Donington a few weeks ago. So I've been running it. I've not done anything different as set the timing to exactly as it was before, not changed the fueling. It's absolutely stonking. I'm trying to be kind because it's not long run. It only went to the dyno yesterday night, so I'm just playing around with it and it's awesome. Look at this for lovely torque. Look at that, straight round to 99, 100 foot-pound. Mega. He's going to love this. Let's hope it behaves this time. Not sure whether we'll have the results from Saturday's Oulton Park race for Sunday night's show, but if not, I will put them in the following week. Don't worry about that. Say what a fantastic race that was for Simon there. We really enjoyed watching him. He was absolutely flying, really on it. So good to see him doing well around Oulton Park there and battling against much more powerful cars. It was great. So hopefully we'll see more. Good morning YouTubers. This little engine here, I just thought I'd make a short video about it. I have actually done some work on it already. I've just been running it on the dyno yesterday. It has a problem. Now I built this engine probably about 6-8 weeks ago for a chap, and I wasn't actually dynoing it or getting involved with it on a massive level. He wanted to do it himself, so I said, right, what I'll do is I'll pop the rods in it for you and I'll bolt the head on, etc., and you can dress the rest of it up and run it. So I had actually, it was one of my engines from maybe 2016 or 17 from another customer when the car belonged to somebody else, so I had been there before. So I said, oh, just put a set of rods in it. Anyway, the reason I'm making the video is just so you guys can be aware, this poor chap has been a bit of a victim of a bad timing light. So he's put the engine in, fired it up, it's all been good, blah blah blah, set it all up like we said, 30 degrees advance, etc. You'd be safe at that. Creep up on it on the rolling road if you want, but you'll be safe at 30. He's gone and done a test in it, and it started to steam out the exhaust, and he's like, oh, this isn't good. What do I do, Andy? So I said, look, just drop it off. I'll plonk it on the dyno. I'll tell you what's up with it. So I put it on the dyno, thinking it must have a bad wheel string or something. And it ran pretty sweet, but very, very lumpy. So I put a timing light on it, and it had crazy light. I think it had 60 degrees at idle and like 80 when you revved it. So that's when I twigged what had happened, because, and the reason I'm telling you this story is because I've had exactly the same happen to me, and I've had it happen to other customers as well. These are timing lights that we use. The way they work is they've got like a computer inside them that does a spark delay. So when you press the plus button on here to 30 degrees, it decides to flash the light 30 degrees after or before or after top descent, or wherever you're setting it, obviously normally before, so that you just match two lines up, so like a TDC line, so you just match your lines up on here and it flashes, and the computer in here does the delay. But sometimes, for some reason, and I have had it with a snap-on one, it just went haywire, went like 30 degrees out, and it caught me out to a point, but I knew there was something wrong because when I ran it, it was pinking its nuts off. Anyway, so this poor lad's put this together, set it up, thinking he's got it all spot on. He's gone for a test, done the test, seen the steam, pulled in, rang me, and that's where I'm at now. So I've run it, I've backed it off to 35 degrees advanced max, given it a good run, loads of power, really impressed with the engine, to be fair. It's a R22 998 and or 1040, I beg your pardon, and yeah, it was strong. I was really impressed with the power it did. However, unfortunately, when I took the plugs out and did the bore scope, I could see there was moisture in number 2 cylinder. So what we'll do next is we'll take the cylinder head off and have a look inside and see if we can decide whether it's detonation or whatever. I suspect that it's had some shock waves going on with detonation, and it's nibbled either the wheel string or nibbled the head under the wheel strings. Unlikely it's done the pistons, because it wasn't breathing that badly, although it was breathing a bit, but it did settle down the more it ran. So I'm hoping the bottom end is okay. We don't have to get involved with that, because like I say, this is a slip-in job. I'm just trying to help the guy out so he can get back out in the car. Right, I'll get the head off, stop waffling, and we'll see what we see. Okay, we've got the cylinder head off the advanced engine, we'll call it, or over advanced. First of all, first thing you can see is we've got moisture with the oil, which is emulsified, and it's in the chamber on number 2 particularly badly. The rest of the cylinders aren't looking too bad, but if I zoom in there, can you see the water globules? So there has been water getting into the chamber all over. I'm just trying to decide. We can see more on the head. The wheel strings look like they've been sat uniformly on top of the piston, on the top of the liners, and to be fair, none of the pistons are eaten. So although you can see this sort of like no carbon area, which is more than likely where the moisture's cleaned it, I think the bottom end's going to be okay. If we just quickly go through here to the cylinder head, you'll see straight away we've got moisture in number 2 cylinder, and I can see from the black area there that the wheel strings have been leaking quite badly. So the first thing I thought was, oh crikey, it's not on stainless steel wheel strings, is it? But it's definitely on steel rings, so it's not a wheel string issue, it's just a cylinder pressure. In fact, we just see where it started to nibble it in a few places, and this was number 2 cylinder, which is the worst one. You can see it was black there, but I can't decide. You see how it's blown the silicon out of the way? That silicon, by the way, around the outside of the wheel string is there to protect the wheel string from the coolant. It isn't any part of the sealing. The sealing is done by the wheel string itself. But I wonder if the gases have been going behind the wheel string. I'll flick it. I'll have to clean the glue off first. I'll flick the wheel string out, but I suspect that the cylinder pressure has been really high when it's detonated, and the energy has to go somewhere, and it's gone behind. So I think we should be able to. What's happened there? I've just realised something. This is a head that I'd repaired for another chap a long time ago, and that's definitely one of my repairs, where I weld up the high pressure oil. So there's not a lot of material on it. I'm hoping we can get like a 10th thou lick and then redo the wheel string grooves, and it'll all be okay. But we shall see. Okay, YouTubers, I've had a good check over this head. Now initially my thoughts were that perhaps the gasket had gone behind the wheel strings, but that wasn't the case. Excuse me. So I've measured the wheel strings that have come out of it, and what I've got to say is, where they've been burning, where they've been leaking past, they've kind of shrank. I wonder if the heat's caused them to shrink. They're only a couple of 3 thou thinner in the areas where the blow by was. So I'm just going to put this down to the fact that it's had extreme cylinder pressure, because I've been all over the head because I didn't want to machine it unless I absolutely had to. But it's dead flat because it's not been hot, obviously, and the wheel string grooves are uniform. Well, they're all within a couple of thou all over, you know, so I've measured the depth here, here, here and here. So there's no problem with the wheel string grooves, so there's no reason why this won't just work perfectly well now that it's not got the advance in it that it had. So because nothing's changed, it hasn't collapsed around here, it's already got the support screws in, etc. So yeah, I'm quite confident that I just put this back together, we'll have fixed it. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, YouTubers, just on with putting this camshaft and cylinder head back on the engine, which had lots of advance in it, and there was a bit of a hesitation on acceleration, so I thought I'll have a quick look at the carburetors. Now, we have a pump circuit, we call it an acceleration circuit. So when you open the throttle, you get a massive drop in airspeed because all of a sudden there's a great big hole. It's not like got a slide like in an SU or a Stromberg. So the Venturi can basically become straight through in an instant. So we get a massive drop in airspeed. So to compensate for this lack of airspeed, it has a pump circuit. And see these little things here, we call these hockey sticks. There's a piston on the end of that, and that goes up and down when we operate the throttle. If you look, see it? Now, what that does is that pumps fuel into the tops of these, and underneath here is the jet that faces forward that squirts the fuel into each cylinder. So what we'll look at first is, see that little brass screw in the bottom there? That is the one-way valve. So when I pump it, they're not working at the moment. I'm looking to see if the little ball valve inside is working, and it is working, because when they don't work, what happens is when you open the throttle and the piston goes down, the fuel comes back up into the chamber. That's where the fuel goes in, you see, into the area for the piston to push it along here to the hit. So anyway, right, we're getting a bit, I was only supposed to be touching on here. So if we look inside here, you can see there's basically no squirter. I think we've got a dribble on this one. It's dripping rather than squirting. Number 2, that one's actually working. Number 1's doing naff all. So the first thing I'll do is I'll crack off all of these screws on top. I don't know how tight they are. Try and do it while you're on the video. Nope, I'm going to have to put the video down. Okay, sorry about that. I've now removed the screws. So underneath the screws, this little jet you can see is the pump jet. So when I pump the throttle now, what we should see is fuel ooze over the top. So we've got fuel on number 4, nothing on number 3, fuel number 2, and nothing on number 1. So the problem is elsewhere. Right, I suspect that underneath these screws there's like a torpedo and a ball bearing. There must be an issue, because the pump's definitely working because it's going to this side, it's just not coming across. So we've either got a blockage or the torpedo and the ball is not correct. I will check it out next. Right, I've just emptied the float chambers of the fuel, tipped the carburetors upside down, and what we can see is that in the bottom of that hole, this one here, is what we call an anti-siphon valve, and the reason for that is obviously there's a depression in here, so in theory the fuel could get drawn through directly from the pump. So what they do is very clever. They have a little weight which is a torpedo, and then that ball, the ball bearing sits on a cone just about here, and then what happens is the fuel can only get past the ball bearing when it's been pumped by the piston, so it can't siphon. That's very clever, I thought. Anyway, we have a bit of more of an idea what's going on now, because if you pump it, you can see we've got fuel to there, but none of it is making it through this cross slide to here. So this one's a fairly easy one to sort out. We've got two options. We can either drill the bung out of the end there and clean it out, or we can use a high pressure airline. I'm hoping that the high pressure airline will just dislodge whatever's between there, and that will be that one fixed. Now this one is a slightly different story, because when I pump it, there's nothing happening. It's not, it's obviously, it's getting to this one, so we know it's working, but it isn't coming across to here. So on this side, it's the drilling between the piston and the bottom of this hole where the cone is, where the ball sits, where the problem is. So we might have to put this in an ultrasonic tank. I'm going to try it with the airline first, because obviously I want to try and turn this job around as quickly as possible, but it may end up having to get a deep clean to get that out. Right, we'll see how we go. Okay, YouTubers, as you can see, the situation has escalated somewhat. Carburetors, I tried to poke through this hole here where it was crossed, locked up, and I thought, you know what, why are we messing about here? There's only one way to deal with this, and that's do it properly. We'll strip the carbs down to absolutely nothing apart from the spindles, because I don't like disturbing them, and we'll put them in the ultrasonic tank at 70 degrees, and the heat and the vibration from the ultrasonics hopefully will shake out all of the debris. I found loads more horrors with the carburetors as I took them apart. There was like the choke mechanisms. I don't know whether you'll be able to zoom in on this or not. It's all crudded up and horrible. So this is my little tub that's got drain holes in the bottom of it. You can see them. Put that in the ultrasonic tank as well, and then it all gets cleaned, and then when it comes out, it'll be nice and clean. I'll give the customer a ring and explain what I'm hoping to do with these carburetors, and we'll put these new kits in them. So we've got all new gaskets and O-rings on it then, and then it's got half a chance. Now, just not wanting to teach you guys to suck eggs, but if you do decide to rebuild your carbs, if you've got like a biscuit tin or something, I love rebuilding them over this little tray I've got, because when something falls out, it can't escape. So in this little plastic cup here, I've got my little anti-siphon balls and my torpedoes and my springs out, my choke mechanism, and all the little bits that get lost really easy and never found again. So that's good. Keep all them in there. They won't be going in the tank, because an airline goes near them or whatever, boom, you'll never find them again. Right, I'll get these in the tank, and we'll hopefully we'll get a result, and we'll test them with the airline shortly. Okay, YouTubers, the Webbers have been in the ultrasonic tank now for a couple of hours, and I've turned them and tossed them around and hope that the waves get to them to dissolve all of the solids that were in the cross tubes, etc. So I've managed to get away with not having to drill anything. I've tested all this now by putting my finger down here and blocking that hole off, and then sending the high pressure airline down there with some brake cleaner, and I can see that it's making it across now. So all the orifices are clear. So when I put them back together now with the jets, which are also all clear, and the new carb kits, we should have a result. So I'll crack on with getting them built. I'm not going to do it on camera because I have done it before in one of my previous videos. So if you wanted to see that, you could just search through my history and you'll see where we did the full Weber rebuild. Okay, we'll see how we get on. Let's hope they work this time. Okay, good morning, YouTubers. It's a good day today. I've put the carburetors back together. I have, you might notice that there's no return spring. There's normally a standard return spring that sits on a little lever inside the middle of the carburetor, but I've removed that because this is a racing car. Every now and again you get the spring fail, and when it fails it jams up inside the mechanism and you can get a full throttle sticking situation. So we'll put him on a set of external springs, so the lever now is just waving around. It doesn't do anything. It has no return internally. Now, I'm really pleased because I put this bit of cardboard in front to show you, after being ultrasonically cleaned and airlined backwards and forwards, all the orifices are working correctly, and it's got a lovely pump. So look at that. Can you see? It's quite hard to see. Can you see them coming out there? There you go. And then this one, so I was really worried about this one. This one's just as good. Look at that. You could even be forgiven for thinking it's a Delorto, it's that good. So we'll get these put together now, finished off and on the engine, and we'll get a tune out of it. I think it'll run lovely now that it's squirting. It should accelerate perfectly. Just perfect, as the famous Alan Milliard would say. Okay, YouTubers, the carburetors are back on the engine now. The cylinder head's back on as well, obviously. And I've run it, and it's about as crisp as they get. I'm really impressed with them carbs. I'm so pleased with myself as to how they've turned out. I'll fire it up now. Just put the pump on. Yeah, really pleased with that. I think we'll get a full warm-up out of it now, and we'll get a tune out of it and see how it does, see if it's going to be in the outro or not. Okay, we're on the dyno now with the engine that had the advance in it. It's got the new, I say, reconditioned carbs on it, and it picks up a treat. It's really that wide open throttle at 4,000 RPM, or just over 3.5. Yeah, so it's really good. I'm absolutely really impressed with the engine. I've got to say, I often see this, if an engine comes back to me that's been out and done a fair few hours, we do get better figures out of it. I'm seeing really good figures out of this 740 today. I'm seeing like 83 foot-pound of torque, which is, it won't be that, it'll be more like 78 or something, but it's still good. I've never, you know, my dyno's not corrected, but it is a fairly decent air day. It's 1,010 millibar, which means, for those that don't understand it all, you know, if an engine's turbocharged by the air that's sat above it waiting to go inside it, we've got a lot more of it today because it's a high pressure air day, it's a good weather day. So I've just been running it and it's absolutely good as gold. It's 1040, big valve head, quite a nice head to be fair, and it's got an R22 camshaft. Now, off the old school camshafts, the R22 cam is probably my favourite cam. The 23 is better at top end, but for spread of torque, the 22 is awesome. I believe people have often told me that the R22 was the rally car camshaft of choice. So we'll give it a bit of a run through. So you can see there at 3,500 revs, it's holding roughly about 70 foot-pound. It loses a bit, you must go rich, then it comes back at 5. I always feel more confident with an engine like this because not only has it been out and done a bit, so it's fully run in, but it's also, he has put steel connecting rods in it, so I know there's a good chance it'll cope with whatever we throw at it. But yeah, that was a really good set of figures. Now, my mate Paul has been on the phone saying it's all very well you reading this torque figure out, but what roughly can we be expecting to see in horsepower figures? So that's what I understand. So if I say we saw roughly, I think I saw 70 foot-pound then, 70 multiplied by at 6,000, no, it's 8,000 RPM, wasn't it? Equals that divided by 5252. Especially for you, Paul, this is 106.6 horsepower. So it's good as gold. It's the breathing has settled down, not concerned about the slightest, and it's not breathing out the header tank, so we know the wheel strings are all doing the job now. So everything's good. It's good to go out and do its season's racing. Okay, YouTubers, hope you've enjoyed tonight's episode. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great week, and I look forward to seeing you all next Sunday at 7. Bye for now.